Here's a hike into the Puente Hills in the Whittier area into Sycamore Canyon. And here Dale takes a look at the leaderboard in the trailhead area. As Jack stands before a gate at the entry to the trail with the usual sign of do's and don'ts. The start of the trail up into this canyon is along a service road at the bottom of the canyon. And then we begin to see the barren sides of the canyon as we travel along the service road. And a little bit further along, we begin to see some vegetation, including lots of cactus along the sides of the road. This cactus appears to grow in quite large patches, and with lots and lots of sharp-looking needles warning us to stay away. And then some areas with really quite heavy brush, as Dale takes a look into it here. And then occasionally we can look down and see the stream that runs through the bottom of this canyon. Really quite a pretty sight. And then some more cactus covering the hillside. At one point we find some steps that someone has built rising from the bottom of the canyon up to a subdivision up along the top. It would take some quite ambitious people, however, to use these steps. But then we continue to work our way along the trail, which is no longer a road, however. In places we find some rather interesting looking tree formations. But then the trail leaves the bottom of the canyon and starts to climb up the side hill. In fact, the trail turns into a series of switchbacks as it works its way on up the canyon side. In fact, we could start to look over on the other side of the canyon and see all these large swaths of cactus. But the trail continues its quite relentless climb up out of Sycamore Canyon, as Dale stops here for a minute to get his picture taken. And then the top, where we find a paved area, a water tank, and some pretty nice views. At this point, we also hook up with a fire road that traverses the top of the ridge line, and which also gives us a view of some of the lawn areas of Rose Hills Memorial Park, and where we also get a view of an oriental columbarium within the memorial park. And from here we can also look around and be reminded that we're not very far from civilization. But then it's time to retrace our steps and get back into the canyon and then back to our car after a hike of about 5 miles.